Hello and welcome to another episode of Rovis Rants. Today I want to discuss Antonio Brown and business is not booming. I have about 6 pages of notes of his antics on and off the field. So I will be referring to them almost as a guideline to what he's done. And I could go back to his college days, but that would be another, I don't know how many pages. So we're going to start with his time in Pittsburgh, where he was drafted in 2010. He had an absolutely successful career in Pittsburgh as one of the best wide receivers. He and Ben seem to have had a great connection. They seemed to be able to read each other, thought this was going to be a great combo going forward. But unfortunately, at one point in practice, he and Ben got into a huge argument. He then, walked off the practice field, didn't show up for the next practice, and Coach Tomlin benched him. So that was game 17. Obviously, it was an important game. The Steelers lost that game, so obviously it didn't sit well. He, after that game, decided he wanted to request a trade, which he was granted. The Buffalo Bills showed interest. He had absolutely zero interest in going to Buffalo, and he made it very clear that he would not play in Buffalo. He was then traded to the Raiders in 2019. And his comment when becoming a Raider was, and I'll quote, "I'm here to elevate everything to be a surge of energy, of positivity and good force, a great teammate, and to bring out the best of everyone around me, because we all know it's not just about me." So, everybody's thinking, okay, great wide receiver, has gone to Raiders now. He's going to be working with Gruden. Let's see what he can do. On August 3rd, he then posted pictures of his frostbitten feet, and they looked horrible. He posted these pictures on Instagram for everybody to see. Apparently, he didn't wear proper footwear while doing cryogenic treatment and got frostbite on his feet. He missed 10 of the 11 training camp sessions, practices with the Raiders. And then on August 9th, so this is just less than a week later, he's then filing a grievance because the NFL has told him he can no longer wear the helmet that he was wearing while he played college football, because it didn't meet the safety standards of the NFL, and because they were trying to reduce concussions in the NFL, he would have to get a new helmet. He was not happy. It went to arbitration. He was denied and ended up getting a different helmet. In September, still with the Raiders, he missed several meetings and practices. And several of the NFL players talked about having, mixed reviews about him as a player and his dedication to the Raiders. This was all over social media, so he became a topic of discussion. While with the Raiders, he got into an argument with the general manager where other teammates had to pull him away. He was said to have said a white racial slur. I won't use that here on YouTube, but it's something you eat. Let's just put it that way. He denies saying that, although other teammates say that he did use that slur. 2 days later, he apologized, and he and Gruden said that he would be playing in the first game. A day later, they voided his guaranteed money of $215,000. Sorry, they voided his guaranteed money, and because of this, he wanted to be released. But before releasing him, they fined him $215,000 for the altercation with the general manager. The same day he was released, he was signed on by the Patriots. Even though he had other off the field antics happening at this point, excuse me, he was being accused of allegations of sexual and personal misconduct. And that was before the preparation of his debut in Game 2 against the Dolphins. In September, he had further allegations alleging that he was now intimidating the accuser. And these text messages went viral. You can find them on social media, where he was making comments and threatening them. So, then he decides that after being cut by the Patriots, that he was going to quit the NFL, that he was no longer going to and he's now going to retire from playing. He was then signed with Tampa Bay, but was suspended for the first 8 games from the NFL because of this sexual misconduct and personal conduct policy violation. He played his first game in November of 2020 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is reported that Tom Brady made a huge push to have him play with Tampa. He played with him with the Patriots. I guess they felt they had a good connection. Brady went so far as to allow him to live in his home. So he was really trying to support him in his ability to be successful. The Tampa agreed to a 1-year deal with Brown on April 28th, 2021, even though he had just had off-season knee surgery. He did pass the physical and was signed. On September 22nd, he was put on the reserve COVID-19 list, where he missed 3 games. He then came back, but then was suspended for violating the league's protocols because he actually produced a fake vaccination card that he had somebody make. I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with it, but he did, obviously. So he was suspended for that. Again, more crazy, stuff he's doing. And then in week 17 of that year, he gets into an argument. He gets upset. Not sure exactly. There's some different stories between him and Arians as to what actually happened. But he came off to the sidelines, pulled off his jersey, pulled off his pads, his gloves, threw it into the stands, and left the field, went into the locker room. At the press conference, Arians said that he's no longer a Buck, but this was later taken back. Tom Brady in that same press conference, and I'll quote, "We all love him. We care about him deeply. We want to see him in his best. Unfortunately, it won't be with our team." So there was, some idea that this is just not going to work. 4 days later, there's an incident where Brown was claiming that the Buccaneers had engaged in a cover-up, saying that Brown had broken bone fragments stuck in his ankle and a torn ligament in the bone and cartilage loss that were beyond painful, that the Bucs were aware and were forcing him to play on an injured foot. He then announced he would undergo surgery. He was released in January 6th of 2022. He has appeared on other TV shows like Dancing with the Stars and The Masked Singer. He is now working with Kanye West on Sports Donda clothing. He's had other sexual allegations brought against him. One from Brittany Taylor, where she claims that he did some things and left some deposit on her back. Let's put it that way. he's been dealing with his ex-wife, and there is video of him throwing gummy private parts at police officers. The antics just go on and on. He's had other people say that he hasn't paid their bill, like doctors, apparently a cook, painters. There's just been antic after antic of just erratic behavior. And many people tie this down to a hit he received from Vonta's Perfect in January of 2016. Now, he did receive a concussion. He was knocked out. It could be the start of CTE. Whether that is the truth or not, we will not know until he actually passes, and if he agrees, if there's something stipulated that his brain can be examined. But it seems to be that he has some of the traits of CTE. Hopefully that's not the case, which sounds crazy to say. Hopefully it's just a mental health issue that where he can get treatment and some medication, and he can be in a better place. Whereas the CTE, there doesn't seem to be any relief for that, and progressively athletes complain that it gets worse and worse. He's still a young man. He's been on several podcasts making controversial statements. He talks poorly of Tom Brady and says if he was his man, he would get him more money. He's talked poorly about Ben Roethlisberger, although, except for right near the end, it seemed like they had an absolutely great relationship. Just recently, he's talked about Kaepernick and saying that, he's all hype and he's just there for the money. He doesn't go into the communities. So he seems to be drumming up a lot of controversy. Now, whether that's to keep his name relevant, I don't know. Or, whether he just finds conflict something that, is around him all the time. I'm not sure where his head is at. He currently remains unsigned. And I guess we will have to wait to see whether his antics on and off the field will prevent him from having a future career in the NFL. Let me know what you think. I know was referring to a lot of my content on a page rather than just ranting on and on, but there was just so much stuff I wanted to cover. He's not been the same since the concussion. I think that's evident. But does he have CTE? Again, we will never know until he is deceased. What do you think? Is this mental health issues? Is this just him being a rich athlete who thinks he can do whatever he wants? Did that concussion cause him some brain injury? Put some comments in the bottom. Like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the notification button so you're aware of when other content becomes available. And I hope to see you soon at another episode of Rovis Rants.